Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Sunday sit down with the Common Corner. It is currently about 1:30 p.m. on a Sunday, and I'm very pleased to be kind of back on regular programming since my big trip to Hong Kong. I'm still I first of all just recovered kind of from the jet lag, which was quite intense, to be honest. There's a 7-hour difference between London and Hong Kong, so that was quite a bit of adjusting sleep schedule. But I'm kind of now recovered from that and just starting to think what I actually experienced there. I have a lot of extra ephemera to archive, and I have my own special Hong Kong traveler's notebook insert to put all of that in. And also, I think some of my logbooks in my Hobonichi Cousin avec still need filling. So I'm working on that slowly, and I'm happy to say that next weekend I will be hosting a little live here on YouTube of me working on my traveler's notebook insert, my travel insert, literally. And I will be very pleased to have any of you join me if you are available. I will be kind of posting the date and time a bit closer to the next weekend. I'm not sure yet if it's going to be on Saturday or Sunday, but I will let you know. So that will be kind of the video for next weekend. I'll do the live, and hopefully, if everything goes well, I can post that as well, so it can stay as a permanent video. For today, there's something else that I'd like to talk about that is not related to Hong Kong, that's not related to the stationery I got from Hong Kong, although those are two videos that I'm really excited to make, one being the live, and then I hope to make a separate stationery video. But whenever I make videos about the stationery that I've added to my collection, I usually like to use them for a while before I talk about them. So that will be coming hopefully in a few weeks' time. But yes, as I was saying, we have an agenda today, and there's a few things on the list here. Quite exciting stuff, actually. First of all, I made a video, I think in August, saying how I've been having some troubles with my commonplace books. This is my previous commonplace book, and I've had an A5 sized commonplace book for about a year now, to be honest. Yeah. And I made it all the way to commonplace 6 before I started to feel a bit disconnected from it. I was noticing that the Hobonichi memo pads, which are very thin, and they have about like 40 pages if we count the back and the front of each of the pages. So I think there's like about 20 in total, and then they make up about 40 if you use the front and the back. I'm trying to now check. Yeah, I would say something like that. So they're very thin, and I find myself filling them up very quickly, but then this makes me feel kind of, I didn't like letting go of these books so quickly, and as a result of that, I found myself not wanting to connect to them, because then I would fill them up so quickly and then have to start a new one. So I had been having some troubles, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I was thinking, if I'm already filling up extra ephemera inserts in my traveler's notebook, and I keep a lot of my I keep a lot of my stationery, a lot of my stickers organized in this cover, and I have my common collection of extra ephemera swatches and sketches, like not technically a commonplace book, but like a common collection for everything else that just doesn't fit in my Hobonichi Cousin avec. But I still enjoy having a commonplace book for, well, exactly for what it's intended to be used for information and notes that I'm collecting about my interests, and for me to be able to return back to them very easily. My extra ephemera book is not for such things, or at least I don't think it would work for that. So I still felt that I had the need for a commonplace book, but I thought, what if I just hosted my commonplace book in my traveler's notebook cover? So here we are. I was thinking to very bravely test it out, and I'm very happy to say that it has been working out brilliantly. I like to decorate my covers, my commonplace book covers. So this is what this one is looking like. There's a couple of pieces of ephemera that my friend actually gave to me. My previous flatmate, she gave to me from Japan. But these are like, she went to Japan years ago, but she had kept these pieces of ephemera, not having done anything with them, and she thought that I would enjoy them. And I do. I really love Japanese writing, and even though I don't understand what it says here, I probably should have translated it, to be honest, but I just enjoy the look of it, the kind of calligraphy of it, and the way that it makes me feel when I look at it, if that makes sense. So I've added that, and a little fox popping out of a coffee cup that looks like it's a stamp. A sticker from Megan Rhiannon, just a hand holding a commonplace book, and then these two silver circles that I've cut in half and put on both sides for like continuation, from Present and Correct in London. And then I just had some empty index dots that I've colored in with my Muji highlighters, and these are the ones that I will also be using in my commonplace book. And I decorated this and I was so happy with it. Like, it just worked so well. And there's also the concept of, these are really easy to find, these inserts. They're very easy to find, they're relatively cheap, and they have a total of like 60 pages. So there's like a lot more, at least 20 pages more than in my Hobonichi memo pad commonplace books. So this is not going to fill up as quickly, I would hope. And the size was my only concern, but it has been working out really well, actually. I'm very happy to say that. I have it set up just the same way that all of my other commonplace books are set up. I have a few videos on commonplacing on my channel if you're interested in those. Yes, in the beginning I always have which commonplace book it is. This is number 7, and I happen to have a little sticker with a 7 on it, and also 7 is my lucky number, so I even have a tattoo of it, actually. So 7 is my lucky number. It's a long story why 7 has been so good to me in my life, but I thought that it was lucky that this commonplace book is book number 7, and it is working out so well for me. I have a sticker from Killer Views here at the front. Everything just worked so well and so easily. It was so easy to decorate this one. And this is actually the price that I paid for this sticker. Funnily enough, this is also from Present and Correct. And I just enjoyed the look of it, so I added it there. And I really like how this book invites you to open it up. I then have my key here at the front, and I really have enjoyed the size of this book. It's basically the same height as an A5, but the width is a bit smaller. Because of that, it's not that I'm looking to fill up the pages, but when I'm making notes and when I'm jotting down things that I want to keep holding on to, I actually don't need that much space. Whereas where I'm journaling, and in my A5 Hobonichi Cousin Avec, I need a lot of space to put different ephemera and thoughts about them and schedule and so on. So I need a lot of space on that one page. But when it comes to my commonplace book, I want to keep one page in relation to one topic. I don't want to add multiple topics on one page because I want the index to be functional and easy to read, so that there's just one topic per page. So the smaller pages are working out really well. And I'm also enjoying how they look like when they're filled out. So just a little bit of an intention set in the beginning, and a key. This idea I got more than 1.5 years ago from Megan Rhiannon. I think a lot of people are using now her idea of a key for commonplace books, even though she has said that she got the idea from someone else. And it's not something that has only recently existed. I think in general commonplace books have been kept for hundreds of years, and I'm sure that people have had hundreds of different ways of indexing and keeping track of what entries they're putting in. But this is just my way, and these dots are empty to begin with, and then I'm coloring them in with my Muji highlighters, like I've said before, because I use those highlighters anyways in my books. It's accustomed to myself, and I've kind of I've altered it slightly to match my growing list of interests. So I have borrowed text as always. That makes up the bulk of my commonplace books, and that's also why it's in a grey dot, because I have multiple grey highlighters from Muji because I use them the most. And somehow that makes sense that I use the gray also for borrowed text, because that's just a highlighter that I always have on hand, so I can make these dots very easily. Then I have the green one for film and cinema. I've been using a green dot for film and cinema for ages. And blue for a certain particular interest. So if it's maybe a very limited note on an interest that I just happen to be thinking about on a certain day, but it doesn't fit into anything else, then it would go for that. Purple is for notebooks and stationery, which I am increasingly thinking about more and more. And then this one is for notes which are not of any particular interest. They're perhaps notes that I want to keep to myself. Something that I have been including in my commonplace books in the past as well are notes to self. So things that I'm collecting from my previous notebooks or something like that. And I consider them to be references to my past words. So they're not words that I currently possess as my present self, but they're words that I'm borrowing from my past self. Hence, I feel like the commonplace book is a good place to note them down. Okay, and I just have this like a couple of pictures from a movie by Wes Anderson. I have all of a sudden forgotten the name of this movie, but because I do keep track of the movies that I watch in my commonplace book, this felt appropriate. I need to think about what the name of this movie was. I saw it ages ago with my friend and I had a great time, but I have not seen it since. So perhaps that's why I can't remember it. Yes, then I have my index. I'm just jotting down what the title of my entry was. And then I have, in the beginning of my commonplace books, I usually have kind of lists of movies that I'm wanting to watch or have watched, or a list of movies that I've made an entry about, something like that. And the same in relation to books. But this time I'm moderated it a bit. I have an intentional to watch list. So not just movies that I feel interested in, but movies that I know I will be watching. Like that there's a very, very, very high chance that I will be watching them, and something would need to happen for me to not watch them, you know? Something would need to come in my way. And I, at the moment, just have the new Joker here, but there's a bunch of other ones that I want to add to this intentional to watch list. I have another list of intentional to read, and these are, you know, books that I will be making a review of in this commonplace book when the time comes that I've finished the book. And it is an intentional to read. They are books that I want to read, basically like a to be read list, like a planned to be read list. Because I wanted to make it intentional, because previously I would just use to jot down any book recommendation ever, and I still have that list, but I felt like the books that I actually wanted to read and had made plans to read would get lost in that long list. So now I have an intentional to read. I had mixed up my alphabets in here, and I crossed it out and had to write it again for read. Little mistakes like this are very present in my books, and this is the reason that I used to in the past only write with pencil, so I could always erase it, but I no longer really care if there are mistakes in my books. Hence they're visible here. And that was the time that I was in like a bullet journal in like 10 years ago maybe. So times have changed, and I'm glad they have. Then I have an intentional list, once again an intentional list of cafes that I would like to try, because I also like to make reviews of the cafes that I go to, just so I always have a list to pick from, basically. Because sometimes when you think, oh, where do I want to go today? I want to go to a coffee shop, but where? It's sometimes really difficult to come up with the idea of where to go. But if you have a list of places you've already been to and you know you like, it's easier to then pick a place to go to, basically. And I just have a little decoration here. This is actually a PET tape that I got from Hong Kong, and it is beautiful and I love it so much, and it just fit into the vibes. There's a little cat as well as a girl reading a book, so I slotted it in here for the intentional to read part. And then I have a little coffee cup and a little like award thing, because I always I really like to follow film award shows, so what films win awards, so that's why that's there. my first entries, and actually all of these are still missing the key. I think I started this literally the day after I came back from Hong Kong, and I was kind of manically filling in these pages because I was having such a fun time and there was so many things that I wanted to write about. So I didn't have time to like put in the key dots. So there's all of the pages are still missing those. I have some notes on crocodiles. I saw crocodiles when I was in Hong Kong, and that was a big highlight. They're my favorite animal. So I made some notes on why they're my favorite animal, a little quote on them, and then some kind of notes and information, like general information, especially on how to like distinguish crocodiles from alligators. And then my own thoughts on it, kind of my like, why am I writing about this? And this is something that I've been adding into quite a few of my entries. I've been putting this thoughts section. So I write about the thing I'm interested in, and then I write thoughts. So, and I write it usually in this way. You can see it here as well, where I'm basically talking about why I included that entry, why I've archived it, why am I interested in the things that the entry was talking about. And I find that I'm engaging with the text that I'm noting down a lot more deeply when I'm doing that, rather than just copying it down and leaving it there. And I think in the future it will also be very interesting for my future self to look back and know why my past self wanted to archive these thoughts. I have a poem called What Resembles the Grave But Isn't, and this was kind of appropriate for my life about a week ago, and it still, to be honest, is. I have some people in my life who are really struggling at the moment, and I wrote this down and shared it to them as a way of encouragement, like sharing encouragement. It's a very good poem. I highly recommend reading it. What Resembles a Grave But Isn't by Anne Boyer. And then I wrote my thoughts on it as well and why I archived it. Then now I have notes to self, and actually these are taken down from my WhatsApp messages to myself. So if you didn't know, you can actually send WhatsApp messages to yourself. And I've never been a fan of the Notes app on my phone, and because I tend to never look at the notes again, and they just get lost in everything else. But I do like sending messages to myself as like a reminder of, I don't know, well, thoughts to jot down if I don't have a pen and paper, or just reminders to myself. And that's basically like an inbox for me. So whatever thoughts come up that I don't have time to write down, I put it in there. And I usually go through them at the end of every week and like delete the messages that are no longer relevant. But I've kept some of the messages that I feel like I would want to return back to. But as a result of having gotten my phone stolen twice in London, and even if my WhatsApp messages have been backed up, for some reason the messages I've sent to myself have erased. And I've lost some of the ones that I've sent to myself maybe a year ago or something. So what I wanted to now do is actually note down the messages I've written to myself that I feel are worth looking at in the future. So I've basically just written down a list of things I've written to myself, dated, and then the time, because that's quite interesting. Like, what time of the day did I write this to myself? And I've just copied down all of the ones I have from actually the time that I got this phone after getting it stolen in June. So the June of this year, I have all of these things written down, and just with like a little decoration, because I find that aspect really, really fun when I'm doing commonplacing, like adding in decoration about the things that I'm writing about, because it really draws my attention to it and I find it quite enjoyable. Yeah, and they're all underlined, like to separate the entries basically. They're all underlined with a red colored pencil. And that goes on for about 4 pages. I still have a little bit of space here, because the previous entry was from earlier this month in October. So I have a bit more space to write down and update this list, and then I'm gonna make a new section of notes to self, and that would be then dotted with the red dot here, which is just notes. I have a few poems. I always like to write down poems, and I've also now added my thoughts. And here I've actually put down what time of the day I was writing down those thoughts on the poems that I've noted down. I actually have this poem, The Orange by Wendy Cope, written in my previous commonplace book as well, but I just love this poem so much that I felt like it needed a place in here as well. Oranges are my favorite fruit, so there's a lot of things about my favorite things, so like the crocodile being my favorite animal and oranges being my favorite fruit. Yeah, so that's a poem there. And then there was another poem that I found that was just very appropriate to my day, when I wrote it down, called I'm Not Okay Today. And I really like the poem. Even if you're not okay, you can still be gentle. You can still be unashamed about not being okay. You can turn the pain that you're feeling into connection. You can be a student of stillness. You can be awake to nature. You can sharpen your empathy against the stone of my discomfort. That was my favorite line, and I wrote it there. And it says, I'm not okay today, but I'm worthy of many things. No, I'm many worthy things, even if I'm not okay. And that was just a really good reminder to myself, and I thought I would share it. I noted down my thoughts on it as well. Then I have actually copied text from a Substack called From My Heart to Yours. And this is a Substack that I've been enjoying for a long time. And I like to keep up to date with it, like very up to date, and write down any excerpts that I enjoy. This Substack also uses a lot of photos, but of course, like the photos are relevant, but I don't always have the time to print them out. But the photos also put like a nice pause to the text, and I've noted them down with these little boxes. If there's 2 boxes, it means there's been 2 photos. And I've done this for a few pages. And then I wrote actually a response to the last 4 pages. I had a lot of thoughts, so I wanted to dedicate a whole page to that. I have a little piece that I actually wrote myself, but it sounded quite poetic. And since I keep poems in my commonplace book, I wanted to note it down. And hopefully in the future, I will have some reflections on this that I can write on the kind of left out space. I have a few archives of the Traveler's Notebook kind of cards that come with the inserts. These are new inserts to me. Usually I always use the same ones, but when I was in Hong Kong, I got a refill that is a card file. I'm gonna show it to you in my actual Hong Kong stationery video, but I got that. It's just a refill that has a bunch of card files, good for like business cards and stuff, and I hadn't seen it in London before, and I thought it was really smart, so I got it. I got some of the rubber bands that you can use to put several refills inside of your traveler's notebook. I'm accumulating how many refills I am keeping in my traveler's notebook cover at one time, so I got these to like accommodate that. And then I also got some of the pocket stickers as well, and I wrote just what I've, the new TN inserts, because all of these keep, like, they have information on the inserts, so they're information, hence I feel like they're going to be valuable for the future, and that's why I wanted to keep them in here. And they somehow just fit the mood of my commonplace book. And now, actually, I feel like we're coming towards the end of my first agenda point, the new commonplace book, which I'm so happy to say is working out brilliantly, and I'm so happy for that, because commonplacing has always been very important to me, and it's great to be back in the groove. Okay, now I mentioned in my traveler's notebook video actually that it is my birthday. Well, it was my birthday very recently at the end of September. 29th of September actually, to be exact. And birthdays have always been a bit of a strange time for me, as I feel like they have been for many, especially because I've been sick for like the past 5 years. But luckily this time around I was very healthy and very happy and had a great time in Hong Kong for my birthday. When I came back from Hong Kong about a week ago, or a bit more than a week ago now actually, I was waiting for a delivery of a birthday present from a friend of mine, and it arrived earlier this week. I had no idea what was going to be in it. She gave me a slight kind of tip that it might be a fountain pen, but what came in there was actually 2 fountain pens. Let's start with the fountain pen that is the newest to me. the brilliant Twisby Eco. um like this was actually, well, the birthday gift that arrived was my first like tangible birthday gift. The things that I was so grateful to receive were experiences when we were in Hong Kong, and that was really lovely. But I can't deny that it's very lovely to also receive like physical birthday gifts. And I really kind of only slightly lost my mind, because I've been like, Twisbies are the only other pen that I've been interested in apart from Kawecos. But it was the kind of size and look of the Kaweco, and also its availability to me at the time. So Alex Thomas Creative here on YouTube and on Instagram, they were selling the Kaweco, and I had been kind of interested in getting into fountain pens and getting one of my own. So Kaweco was the one that I went for, and I've kind of kept loyal ever since. I say loyal, but I did get a Muji fountain pen when I was in Hong Kong. I really couldn't resist it. But I have been ever since been fascinated by the Twisbies and their beautiful see-through kind of ink reservoir where you can see how much ink is left. And they are just a beautiful pen in general. And I received this as one of the pens for my birthday, and I'm really, really, really grateful for it, because I know that I've said that I don't need more fountain pens per se. So I had promised myself not to buy them anymore after, you know, getting having 2 Kawecos, one for black ink and one for red ink. I was like, I don't really need any more. So I was thinking I'm gonna try and not spend too much money on them. So here we are. I had received it as a gift, so I will very, very, very happily accept it. And it has been a great joy trying this one out. It rides like butter. It is so smooth. The nib is a beautiful fine nib. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's my first ever like piston fill pen, fountain pen. So it's been new and exciting. Let's put her here. And because it's new to me, I wanted to do some notes on it, on this specific model, which is the Twisby Eco. And I included here the little pamphlet that comes inside of the box. And then a little writing test as well with the ink that I have in here right now, which I think is, oh, goodness. Oh, I have it in my book here. Don't look at the other pen. Total spoiler. Diamine's Sepia. I've totally spoiled my second pen. It's okay. Yeah, and I'm enjoying writing with that one right now, but I would like to switch this ink to a black ink, as I am intending to use this as my drawing pen. I think that's what it's going to be really brilliant for, given its big reservoir of ink, or big ink capacity compared to the Kawecos, for example. So yes, this is the pen. I'm giving it a beautiful 9.5 out of 10. I have no complaints. It's really gorgeous, and it's in the rose gold and smoke color. So I don't think it's visible on camera, but the cap and like every black part of the pen is slightly see-through, which is really gorgeous. And I've never also had rose gold in a pen before, and I'm like, I thought that I was very, what's the word? I'm really forgetting my words today. I thought that I was very persistent, maybe, on wanting to keep kind of silver in my hardware of stationery. So wherever there would be like metal hardware, I would want it to keep it silver. But it really hasn't been like that, because in my traveler's notebook, for example, I have a lot of gold or brass color, and I'm loving, to be honest, now that I have this rose gold added, I'm loving all of the mix of the metal colors, the metallic colors. So yes, I will be featuring this pen, I'm sure, many more times in my channel, but I just wanted to introduce her to you now and say hi, basically. It's really cool to have such a beautiful pen, so thank you once again to the friend that gifted it to me. I'm going to take a little pause now, and actually I have some work to do, and after that I will return back with the holy grail of pens that I have been wanting ever since I got into fountain pens, and I cannot believe that I have it in my hands now. Also gifted to me by a dear friend, and I am just way too lucky. Way too lucky. So I'll see you in a bit for that. All right, I'm back from having a little work session, and I wanted to finish off with introducing you to my holy grail of a pen, the one pen that I've been thinking about since I kind of got into fountain pens. People said that it would be a rabbit hole, and I fully knew that, and now I am in the rabbit hole with a few more fountain pens that I would have ever expected myself to have. I expected to have this kind of one forever writing pen that I use every single day, my aluminium bodied Kaweco Sport in black. And it's beautiful, and I write with her every single day. But I was like, what's better than having this pen would be this pen in a red color so that I can have one pen for black ink and then another one for red ink. And guess what was inside of that birthday package that this beautiful Twisby was in as well? Well, it was the red, deep red Kaweco Allsport. I only a little bit lost my mind when I saw this in there. I should have taken a video clip of it or something so that I can look back on it and be like, wow, I really love that pen. And now I have this pair that I've been dreaming about for ages, and I never thought I would get here because I told myself that I wouldn't be there's no need for me to have another Kaweco because I had my burgundy colored classic plastic bodied Kaweco Sport. But if it gets gifted to me, I will accept it. So now I have these two, and I am very happy. And they look so good in the two these two pen loops that I have here. Although this red does clash with the orange, and I have been meaning to replace this orange pen loop because it's too small, so it's getting very stretched out, and I'm having a difficult time always putting in this pen. As a comparison, this black one goes here and it just goes in just very easily. This one I have to like hold the loop at the same time as I try to push it in. Yeah, and it's a bit of a struggle, and it literally does not budge. That's why I keep it upside down, so when they go like this, the thin side of it are like touching, because if this is other way around, if this is the other way around, they are kind of like pushing on each other, if you can see that very easily there. Yes, so I want to get a XL loop from, I think it's Leuchtturm. So I want to get a bigger loop there, and I want to get it maybe in black or in the exact red that this is in, so it matches. But yeah, that was the other one I wanted to show you. So here are my fountain pen updates. I have a few updates from Hong Kong, including this Muji fountain pen that I just mentioned very briefly earlier on, but I'm gonna keep those for the stationery video from Hong Kong, which I guess will be here in a few weeks, but life is getting busier and busier again after coming back from holiday, and next week I know I'm gonna be doing the video on archiving my Hong Kong ephemera into my traveler's notebook insert, into its own designated traveler's notebook insert. So I'm not sure when the stationery video will come out, but as I've said before, I like to use my stationery before I talk about them so that I'll have some thoughts to share as well. So at the moment I'm in the process of using them and very soon I will be able to then talk about them. Because I won't go into it too much now. I will save those thoughts for the video. But thank you for joining me in gushing over these two pens. It feels like a huge privilege to get gifted pens, and I'm really eternally grateful. So thank you once again. You know who you are. Yes, I'm just really smiling from ear to ear. I wish you could see, because I'm just so grateful for these two little guys. This was a bigger guy, but I love both of them equally. All right, until next weekend, I hope that you are well and your week will treat you as you wish, and I hope it will give you everything that you are looking from it. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.